I actually stopped listening to him because he doesn't say the N-word enough for me, so.
There's
a lot of artwork from Hitler that I like.
I didn't watch a 17-hour debate on Lex Friedman about Israel,
my bad.
where some fucking goy is popping off about my shit.
So Destiny went on the Adam Friedland show.
I did a lot of preparation for the Finkelstein interview.
People said I cooked him way harder than you.
I don't think we ever debated anything of substance.
Not on your debate.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a 17-hour debate on Lex Friedman about Israel,
my bad.
where some fucking goy is popping off about my shit. No, I don't want to go into the substantive review of that debate.
Not, yeah.
But I did think it was kind of funny. Mr. Benelli, when he was saying your last name wrong on purpose.
Yeah, over
it's
and
kind of
over.
alpha.
It was hilarious.
Destiny, I don't know, man. I don't think Destiny did that well in the debate. I mean, the viral clips that came out of that was Destiny just getting roasted by Norman Finkelstein over and over again.
Mr. Benelli,
True.
You are, what do you say, fantastic moron.
Yep.
Dude, he kind of did cook your ass there a little bit, no?
You
should have like dapped him for that. You should have been like, that's bars.
Should I?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Well, you're mad at him still? Do you get mad during debates?
I mean, it depends on the conversation, yeah?
You know, I've seen various clips where you're like getting
I care
upset.
about the topics, yeah, they're important to me, yeah.
It's ideological, or is it like do you feel like you're backed into a corner? Or do you
Despite the, I guess people saying I'm a grifter or whatever, there are things that I'm passionate about. Like the only reason I'm arguing a thing is because I feel strongly about it. I'm usually pretty good at understanding if I'm like really far behind in subject matter. So if there's a debate where I realize like, ooh, I'm like, I can't do this, generally I just like ask questions, I just kind of like poke and prod. So I've had a couple where...
Has someone changed your mind ever?
It's less common now that I do a lot more like in-depth research, and I kind of match my convictions appropriately more now. So like before, everything was kind of binary. It's either like I believe this or I don't believe it. And now there'll be positions where like I think this is true, but I'm like 50% on it, so I could be like swayed.
What is winning?
The other person deletes their account after.
If they're
fired from their job.
Humiliated.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel after you win?
I feel on top of the world.
It feels great.
It's like doing cocaine for the first time again, every time.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is why people call Destiny a grifter, where he doesn't actually care too much about the issues that he's arguing. He just cares about being able to dominate his debate opposition. He just cares about getting the feeling of a victory, getting the feeling like he dominated someone. If you ask pretty much anyone else who does sometimes engage in debates, it would be like, what is winning is being able to effectively get across your message. And dominating the opponent does play a role in that, but the purpose of having the domination of your debate opponent isn't so that you have that personal high, the feeling of doing cocaine again. It's because you want to make them look like a fool in the eyes of their audience, and then their audience is going to learn something new. So again, the goal isn't to dominate, it's to educate people.
Because you advanced some sort of political project, or you won because someone cried?
Honestly, it depends on like, I had like a thing, the 3 Ps, people, place,
Penis.
policy.
Penis.
If I'm arguing with like a friend over where we should go to eat, my goal is not to destroy the person, right?
I assume that's what your life is.
Yeah, I'm like an ordinary human being.
Oh,
usually,
I thought
yeah.
you were like a cocksucker at first.
Jesus.
Our first interaction was horrible.
What was our first one?
When I went on your stream, I felt like it was terrible, and I watched it back and I thought it was unwatchable. And the thing that bothered me was that reading comments, there had to be like one guy who won a talk on a stream for 10 minutes.
That's just fan behavior. They always do that.
That psychological processing of...
Bro, Destiny's literally said through this interview that he treats his entire life as a debate. And now this guy's like, okay, I went on your stream for 10 minutes and people acted like one of us won or lost the debate. And now Destiny's like, that's just fan behavior. Well, you're encouraging the behavior, Destiny.
Kind of the position that you inhabit, which is like Democrat Israel, is like the perfect kind of like, you get both, because the internet is so polarized, right? You get like, you have like rose emojis and then you have Nazis. There are a lot of Nazis now. Yeah. But inhabiting this position, it seems like, I'm not speculating that you're doing this as a business move, but it is kind of the perfect troll. You are going to have the most people that want to yell at you, and then you can yell back at.
I mean, the
centrist community can't be like.
There's a lot.
popping.
There's a lot to.
You don't go to centrist
that, okay?
parties on South
big
Beach.
questions, okay?
No, I'm just saying like
it's not the most profitable position to hold.
I'm saying you have the most people that you could like.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you actually want to fight with people, if you actually want to challenge people, those people don't want to talk to you. This is something. It's my whole career has been like continually learning this. So like in the beginning of this year, I chatted with, I debated Shapiro, Owens, and Peterson, but it was only because I was willing to like do it with like kids' gloves the whole time.
And you and Ben kind of liked each other at the end.
It was, I mean, but because it was a nice.
You both talk fast.
No, it was because if he says some crazy shit, I'm not going to call him out hardcore on it. Because I'm trying to be nice and like build bridges so we can have more challenging conversations. But I think the reality is that if it's ever going to be only because of the yarmulke.
Yeah, but if you are trying to push a narrative and push a propaganda campaign that's like supporting your side and getting across the politics that you care about. And Destiny's claimed that he cares about politics in this interview. Then what is the point of trying to debate Ben Shapiro in a nice way with kitty gloves? And Destiny says that he's trying to maintain this relationship with Ben Shapiro and build bridges with him. So he was really nice to Ben. Okay, so the only way to take that is that Destiny's trying to suck up to Ben to increase his own career. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, he said that I was nice to Ben Shapiro because I wanted to maintain a relationship with him, go on his show again, do another debate with him. So he's gonna like play patty cakes with these guys that are pushing right-wing narratives. And even though Ben Shapiro might say something completely insane, Destiny's going to say, well, I didn't call him out on that because I want to maintain this good level of rapport with Ben Shapiro. So yeah, it really is hard to take Destiny seriously when he says he genuinely cares about these issues, when he's willing to allow someone that he's debating to say something ridiculous just so that he can maintain a personal relationship with that person. So that is why people are calling him a grifter.
Agreed to talk to them, but why you held back? Because what?
Because I think if you push somebody too much on like a core fundamental issue, then they don't want to talk to you.
So you felt compelled to yell at Norman Finkelstein, who's passionate about the subject and studied it his whole life, but build a bridge with Ben Shapiro.
Studied in big quotes there. When I showed up, I was super polite the whole time. He was the one that was making fun of me the whole time. In my mind, in my stupid naive mind, this could be one of the coolest like conversations like ever on this topic, because Lex is a huge platform. Benny Morris is like one of the most like preeminent, has gone through the original archives more than ever. Wayne Rabbani, he knows a lot of stuff, and then you've got Palestinian scholar, and then you've got Norm Finkelstein, who's one of the most quoted like Western, kind of pop historian types on Israel-Palestine. Yeah. And I'm there to like add some flair. Like, this would be really cool. But after the first 2 hours, I don't remember if Lex has this on tape or not, or if he cut it, but like Benny and Lex are telling me, they're like, bro, you got to go way harder. This guy's clowning on you. And I'm like, really? And like, yeah, you got to open up on this guy.
But it's just like,
so then I start going a little bit.
That's so divorced from people dying in a war.
But that was Norm's fault, though. No. This is very frustrating.
Can I just explain? No,
hold on.
Shut the fuck up, actually.
Listen.
I'm not going to debate you on this.
Roll the clip of Norm going on Brianna Joy Gray's show, and then Norm is like, when I went there, I was just going to laugh at him the whole time. And that was his whole plan.
I think that you're prioritizing the wrong...
My priority is to have a good conversation.
Brianna Joy Gray's show. I mean, like, can you not, in an empathetic sense, understand that we were people that got dispossessed, killed, told that no one wants us, and then we see the Palestinians be people that were dispossessed, no one wants them, and we connect that to our, like, what we were told about our own history. And I think that it is...
There might be people like that. It's not Norm Finkelstein, though.
It is... His parents were in the fucking Holocaust,
yeah,
bro.
What is even happening right now? Also, this is like a very chubby Destiny that I'm drawing. I'll just let this
he hasn't studied or read any of this shit. He doesn't know anything about what the fuck he's talking about. You're trying to give me this whole emotional spiel?
It's a war where people are dying.
He should have treated the conversation with the seriousness that demands.
What was he doing, bits?
Yeah, the whole thing was a bit for him.
Rickles?
Yeah, the whole thing was a bit. There was a time where Wayne Rabbani, he was trying to talk, and Norm was like, whoa, 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 and then Wayne is literally like trying to hold him back. He's like, let me do, and he's like, yeah, this is literally happening. One of the times we go on break, Finkelstein gets up, and I think I mentioned something. I say something to him.
Norm Finkelstein was doing bits to make fun of Destiny. Oh my God, he is so delusional. I mean, dude, just look at the difference. I mean, okay, Destiny's a liberal, right? He says he's a liberal. He wants the Democrats to get elected. That's what he claims. Look at the difference in the way that he talks about his debate with Norm Finkelstein, where you can tell he's emotional about it. Like, he has serious emotions that he's still working through. When this guy, Adam Friedland, calls him out on it, he says that, well, Norm Finkelstein actually came into it in bad faith. Just look up his show with Brianna Joy Gray. And guy's like, okay, like, I don't really care. So, like, look at the difference in the emotional intensity that Destiny has on his debate with Norm Finkelstein versus the way he feels about it with Ben Shapiro, where Ben Shapiro, he says that he's coming in with kid gloves and he's going to try to maintain this relationship with Ben Shapiro. But with Norm Finkelstein, he's like willing to just trash his character anyway. He won't even like address the stuff that was said in the debate. He says that Norm Finkelstein came into the debate in bad faith and he looks to external factors. I mean, what about the bad faith that Ben Shapiro comes into every conversation with, where he always will try to reframe the conversation and move goalposts to make his opponents look bad? Ben Shapiro has literally built a career off of bad faith debate tactics. And you say that you want to build a relationship with Ben Shapiro and maintain that relationship. That's why you were nice to him in the debate. So it's just clear that you use debates as a way to build your brand, and it wasn't beneficial for you to argue with Ben Shapiro for whatever reason. So you're being nice to him so that you can have more conversations with him in the future. So you were just sucking up to power and going to the person who is as popular as you can get access to and trying to create a relationship with them to stay with them. He's just a leech, dude. He will go to whatever he thinks will get him the most views. And I think that's a big reason why he is like being pro-Israel right now. I think he noticed that that's a marketplace for people.
I'm like, it was something I was like, hey, why do you guys do this? And he was like, Mr. Bonnell. He said my name flawlessly when he thought the camera was off. I'm like, you motherfucker.
He cooked your ass.
Yeah.
What led him to his scholarship?
It can be, I don't know, to be honest. It could
But
be a
his
painful
parents
thing.
went through hell.
How can you study a region for 40 years and not speak either of the languages about that region?
You learned Hebrew?
What? No, but I don't consider myself.
What? Wait. Holy shit. Bro, I thought Destiny was like a good debater at least, and his argument is, how do you study a region for 40 years and not speak any of the languages of the region? Well, was he studying the languages or was he studying the history? That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Like I've never even heard like Ben Shapiro say something that stupid. What the actual wait, so his way of discrediting Norm Finkelstein, because Adam Friedland said before that like, oh, well, Norm Finkelstein is, he's an expert on it, and Destiny's like, oh, an expert, right? And his proof or his evidence that Norm Finkelstein isn't an expert is because he doesn't speak Hebrew or Arabic? What the fuck? Guess what, dude? They also speak English in Israel. So Norm Finkelstein speaks one of the languages of the region.
How can you study a region for 40 years and not speak either of the languages about that region?
You learned Hebrew?
What? No, but I don't consider myself to be a historian. He markets himself as a historian. I'm a YouTube debater.
But you're saying that you debate only things you're passionate about. So what gave you a passion for it?
I don't know initially here. I think that personally, in like the month before October, it was the first time I'd ever had like a formal diagnosis for ADHD, and I started medication for it. So I'm not joking.
You're gonna do this TikTok crap, your mental illness?
No. I'm saying that for the first time in my life, okay? Because there's been a lot of jokes on my stream about how
Adam Friedland calling out Destiny on his bullshit is the best part of this podcast.
I'm always playing games and I'm like debating people at the same time and I'm watching videos and I'm like, but I started medication and I noticed afterwards that I can actually sit and just read a book. And it's been very hard to like read like full books and read whole papers and stuff.
You started reading books?
Yeah, books.
What's your first book? That you read?
I'm trying to think of a joke. Stop.
The Game. Neil
what?
Strauss, The Game.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay, go.
Hilarious pop culture reference.
Hi, come on. Okay, continue.
For Israel-Palestine, it was...
what was the first book? You said you learned how to read a
I think it was like
book?
Scars of War, Wounds of Peace by, I think, Shlomo Ben-Ami. Was his first book on the Camp David peace process. Yeah. But after I was able to like read stuff, history became a lot more interesting to me. Like a joke on my stream was always, fuck history, that's boring as fuck. But now I super enjoy reading about history. And then in reading and learning the conflict, like there's just like a lot of cool people, events, like places, there's just like a lot of cool stuff involved.
So what led you to the conclusion that you've reached?
This is my sales pitch for Israel-Palestine, okay?
Yeah.
This is my issue, okay? Is that both sides are very invested in telling an entirely alternative history to the other side. And because
you go with the winner.
What?
You go with the winners.
No, I think there's a shared mutual history between the two. But the people on the far sides of this don't like to acknowledge any like of the shared stuff. So like for instance, in 48, right? Correct. I understand why the...
Bro, this is insane. Okay, so Destiny's saying that there used to be a joke in my chat that history is so boring. My God, like that's insane by itself. And now he's describing the history of Israel and Palestine as really cool stuff in the context of an active genocide. He's talking about the history that set the groundwork for this genocide and is a history of genocide and ethnic cleansing and apartheid as really cool stuff. That's what he says. And now his conclusion is that both sides are extreme. Yeah, no fucking shit, dude. Nazi Germany and the fucking Jewish resistance groups and the French resistance groups that sprung up against them were both extreme. But one side has all of the agency in this example. And it's the exact same with Israel. One side has all of the agency and their extremism can stop at any point. And the resistance groups, they are being pushed into extremism. Dude, the conflation between what Israel's doing and what any Palestinian or like straight up like anti-Israel resistance groups is doing is insane. Like, how is he going to justify this?
Jews would want to leave Europe after the Holocaust and everything else, and after they got promised from the British in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration and all this. I understand that, but I also understand if you're a Palestinian or an Arab, why you want to fight these motherfuckers coming in.
They've made a bad bet.
Seems like if we look today, it's a pretty good bet, no?
No, because the objective of Zionism is to keep Jews safe, and in that sense, it's been a failure because they're at war the whole time.
Yeah, the wars that they're
safer
winning
here.
though, right?
What is winning wars? People
As
are
in the
dying.
country still exists and there's not like millions of Jewish people being murdered. What do you mean?
That's being at war and people dying in wars is not like keeping people safe.
Wait, Jesus Christ, dude. Does he not realize that Israel is falling apart? Like, their economy is in the tank. Their population is being drafted. There is major, like, democracy has completely left Israel with Netanyahu consolidating power and basically neutering the Supreme Court to allow him to have kind of unilateral power over the government. So many people are emigrating out of Israel. Israel is still getting bombed. Every country in the region hates Israel. Pretty much almost every single country in the world hates Israel now because of the genocide they're doing, and Destiny says that that's a success because they're winning wars. I mean, come on, dude. Like, if you're gonna call the war or their military excursions after October 7th a war, then you are just denying genocide. And I don't know if Destiny would deny genocide, but I think he just supports genocide. Like, I think he knows that they are doing genocide. He just supports it.
Honestly, I'm pro-genocide. Like, it sounds really shitty, but like, I think that Israel should just draw up its fucking borders about where it is now, and basically Palestinians can go live in another place. That's really shitty, but like, that's about where I'm at. I don't know,
You just think that Palestine should just pack up and Native American the fuck out of there?
The problem is that it seems like there is a hugely general hostility to Jewish people across really the entire world, but definitely the Middle East. So the problem is that as you weaken Israel's like ability for Jewish people to live there, it seems like because there's a lot of different organizations across the Middle East that are highly invested in the destruction of Israel. So that's like a really rough thing too. So it seems like if Israel is forced to make concessions to Palestinians, it threatens Jewish people's ability to have a homeland. And so I don't know. It's really shit. Truthfully, the answer is like there's no good answer. It's hard. It's hard. It's a really, really complicated situation.
Well,
Because it seems like appeasing either end basically means like kind of the destruction of the other end. If you give the Jewish people what they want, Palestinians are essentially permanently cucked out of what they feel is their rightful homeland. And if you give Palestinians what they want, then probably a lot of Jewish people are going to die.
And it's a ridiculous thing to say. A ever-expanding military state that cannot have any kind of sovereign country on its borders for fear of reprisal is not a safe place to be in. Like, if you are in an imperial colonialist state surrounded by people that hate you, and the reason they hate you is because you keep bombing them and taking their lands and destabilizing their countries, that's not a safe place to be, because those people have a right to hate you, and they're going to have violent pushback against your oppression of them. So yeah, that's not a safe place to be.
I think that if you were a Jew and you just come out of the Holocaust, and then you could go to a country that's at war for
didn't just come out of
80
the Holocaust.
years.
Those people made Aliyah before that.
Oh, you're trying to really trigger me. Okay.
What do you mean trigger?
Okay. The majority of the Jews that were there by 48 were probably from Europe. I agree with you, right? For a second, third, there was a ton of aliyahs for people.
Aliyot.
Yeah, for people coming over. After 48, in every successive war, there was a huge migration of Jews from surrounding Arab states because people get mad. Yeah. So today, the majority of the people living there are of Middle Eastern descent, right?
Is it worth having like a democracy that's based on ethnicity, where in order to maintain it, you have to maintain a majority naturally, right?
The sad thing is that probably most democracies are built this way. You just aren't perceiving it because you don't have that same kind of
I'm American, bro.
Yeah, you don't have the same pressure.
Sick.
Like even in the United States, we don't take more than, of all the immigrants legally we accept per year, no more than 7% come from each country.
That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is if you're going to establish a Jewish state, right, you have to establish a Jewish majority.
Sure,
It's going to be a democracy, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's a demographic.
Yeah. Also, there's a difference between America having white people settle North America and then limiting the migration that comes in. There's a difference between that and specifically writing in your constitution that only Jewish people have the right to self-determination in the land of Greater Israel, essentially. So that is explicitly racist, and America did have explicitly racist laws with the 3/5 compromise and then the obviously slavery and the segregationist Jim Crow South. That's extremely explicitly racist. But like, we got rid of those laws, and that doesn't automatically heal the wounds of racism, but it is a dramatic shift. Like, that is a meaningful difference from what America has and what Israel has, where Israel literally is legislating apartheid. And the fact that Destiny's making this false conflation is just misinformation. And I don't know if he simply doesn't know that Israel has a constitutional amendment giving Jewish Israelis more rights than non-Jewish Israelis, or if he does know it and he just doesn't care and he's purposely lying to run defense for Israel.
Issue if there's just as many Palestinians.
Yeah, there is. That's why traditionally they didn't capture the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, and after 67 they did, and it fucked shit up a lot for them.
This is not like two sovereign groups of people that are at war with each other. There's a power imbalance, and if you ignore that power imbalance and you say that there are two sides to every story, then you ignore kind of the political reality there.
Okay. I understand your view. I think that your view is super wrong.
Why?
Because you're only accounting for one side, and you make it seem like it's so obvious, like who's
Why am I
wrong.
counting for one side?
Because you're saying that it's so simple for who the wrong side is here, when it's not. Both sides.
I didn't say the wrong side.
Generally, as soon as you utter the
issue.
phrase power imbalance, it's like you're automatically assuming
They don't have this right to self-determination.
Okay,
That's just a fact.
Even with what you're saying, do the people around them with self-determination have the right to vote?
Logical fallacy.
They don't.
Logical fallacy.
Actually, that wasn't a logical fallacy. Actually,
I'm saying that they don't have political sovereignty.
Do the people that are around them have this right to self-determination? Okay, so let's just really get into this. Israeli citizens that are not Jewish do not have the same rights that Jewish Israelis have. That's just settled law. And then even within Israel, even within Israeli Jews, there are Arab Jews in Israel, and then there are also white European Jews that are living in Israel. The white Jews have more rights than the Arab Jews, and that is not in the Israeli constitution, but that's just straight up plain old racism. Okay, so there's like this power dynamic, right? This hierarchy of white European Jews, then Arab Jews, then non-Jews. Then there are Palestinian Israelis that are not Jewish, and I mean Palestinian Israelis is not a very specific term. It's like non-Jewish Israelis that are Middle Eastern, essentially, like Arab non-Jewish Israelis, because there are Palestinian Jews that live in Israel too. So Arab non-Jewish Israelis do not have the rights to self-determination in Israel. However, they are Israeli citizens. So the Palestinians that are Israeli citizens have more rights than the Palestinians that live in Gaza or live in the West Bank, because the ones that live in Gaza and the West Bank are simply labeled as terrorists and killed. So non-Jews living in Israel do not have the same rights that Jews living in Israel have. Non-Jews not living in Israel are basically subhuman in the eyes of Israel, and specifically in Gaza and West Bank, where the vast majority of the Israeli population wants to exterminate them, either killing them or ethnically displacing them. If you live in a country, or if you live in a region or an area that is controlled by a imperial power, and that power controls your airspace, it controls your fishing, it controls the electricity that you have, it controls the food, the water that gets distributed into your country, let's just call it a country, it has a register of every single person and where they live, it has their address, they control like the migration coming in and out, they control the healthcare, they control you getting into another section of this ostensibly the same country. They control you passing through Israel into West Bank, even though Gaza and West Bank is ostensibly the same country. You do not have the right to self-determination. If this other imperial oppressive power is controlling every aspect of your life, you are simply a vassal of that state. You do not have any rights. It's the same with the West Bank. And we can even talk about Syria and Lebanon, where Israel will consistently bomb these places in order to stop any kind of, and Israel would say, military buildup on their border. But in reality, it's trying to keep these countries underneath the thumb of Israel. So if Lebanon is a antagonistic power against Israel, Israel will bomb them. Israel will invade them. And it's the same with Syria. There's a reason that Syria was able to exist so long while Assad was in power, because Israel was fine with Assad. They were able to control Assad to an extent. And when these Islamic extremist groups deposed Assad last week, week, immediately Israel starts bombing them because they are a group that is not underneath the thumb of Israel. So we see Israel not only oppressing their neighbors, but also destabilizing their neighboring countries. So yes, Israel operates as an apartheid state, a Jewish supremacy state, and if you are not Jewish, if you are not underneath the umbrella of Israel, then you have the right to be destabilized, and basically Israel will work to take away your sovereignty. They will break you down if you are a country. If you are not a country, they'll make sure that you never become one. So yes, Jewish people have more power in the region, or Jewish Israelis have more power in the region than other people there. So yeah, when Destiny says that, well, what is sovereignty? What are we talking about there? Like, again, he's just kind of lying, and he's running defense for Israel.
Okay. I understand your view. I think that
Facts.
your view is super wrong.
Why?
Because you're only accounting for one side, and you make it seem like it's so obvious, like who's
Why am I
wrong.
counting for one side?
Because you're saying that it's so simple for who the wrong side is here, when it's not. Both sides
I
have
didn't say
made...
the wrong side.
Generally, as soon as
There's
you utter
an
the
issue-
phrase power imbalance, it's like you're automatically assuming...
They don't have this right to self-determination.
Okay,
That's just a fact.
Even with what you're saying, do the people around them with self-determination have the right to vote?
Logical
Yeah,
fallacy.
they don't.
Logical fallacy.
Actually, that wasn't a logical fallacy. Actually,
Do the people with self-determination around them have the right to vote? Okay, well, I would argue that. So I think he's referring to the people in Gaza right now, because they didn't have an election since like 2003 when Hamas took control. And I would argue that they don't have self-determination. They don't have the right to vote, but even if they did, their options are extremely limited because Israel will prevent pretty much any kind of sovereign government from rising up with any real power and control over their lives. There's a reason Netanyahu was insistent on dealing with Hamas, because he wanted to nurture the most extreme forms of government in Gaza, because he didn't want Gaza to create a stable government. And that is another example of Israel oppressing the people of Gaza and of the West Bank, nurturing extremism and refusing to let any kind of stable government build up that would actually represent the wills of the Palestinian people.
I'm saying that they don't have political sovereignty.
That's true.
And they are occupied
That's
by
true.
people that do.
that's true. But then the question is, what does the resolution to that look like?
Anytime the fucking prime
Okay, so Destiny makes a fucking bullshit point where it's like, well, do the people around them that can't vote have sovereignty? And the guy's like, they don't have sovereignty. And immediately Destiny says, okay, well, that's true. But what do we do then? Well, step one is stopping the genocide, which you apparently support. It's crazy.
minister is about to go to jail, then he has to fuck up some Palestinians. That's the
So I haven't
resolution.
heard a resolution.
My grandma lives in Cape Town, bro.
Jesus.
She didn't have to move because black people got to vote.
What does it have to do with...
You can end an apartheid.
Yeah. Do you think that if Jews lived as a minority,
I do right now.
do you think that you live in a minority state where the majority are Arabs?
I'm a minority in America.
Are the majority here Arabs? Do you think that you would face the same pressure here?
What is it? What's the difference?
Bro, literally white people killed more Jews than any other Arab. So what the fuck? Dude, what is this argument? Oh my god, Destiny's getting his ass cooked by this guy. Holy shit. So Destiny's trying to make the argument that genocide is the only solution to apartheid. Like, he said that before. He has that famous clip where he's like, this is a very complicated issue, and I think it is genocide, but you know what? I've come to the conclusion that I'm just kind of pro-genocide. Like, I think that's the only solution. And then this guy's like, okay, well, Palestinians are oppressed. They don't have the right to self-determination. And Destiny's like, well, they have sovereignty, but they can't vote. So what do you call that? And he's like, they don't have self-determination. And Destiny's like, okay, yeah, you're right. But what are you going to do about it? What can we do about it? The guy's like, you can end apartheid. So Destiny says, what are you going to do about it? Because he's basically trying to lead him down the road that there's no good solutions. And even if these people are being oppressed, they should just be killed anyway, because that's the best solution. And kind of reminiscent to what Hitler did about the Jews, where he said, yeah, we should, like, the Jews they're a burden on German society and we should deport them. Like, let's not kill them, but we just shouldn't be in contact with them anymore. The German people should not have the Jew be a part of German society anymore. So we should deport them. And then it's like, oh, well, what are we going to do? We have this Jewish issue. What's the solution for it? And Destiny came to the same conclusions as Hitler did. So maybe that's why he liked role playing as Hitler so much. Holy fuck. And this guy's like, well, you can just end apartheid and people will forget about the racism eventually. When there's no material conditions reinforcing your racist stereotypes and your racist beliefs, that racism is going to dissipate extremely quickly. And now Destiny's making the argument that it's a population issue, and if the Jewish population ever becomes a minority in Israel, then that's like an issue. What the actual fuck is he talking about? Like, this is just a racist talking point at this point, where he's ignoring all of the material conditions that causes extremism in Palestine against Israel and Israelis. He's ignoring all of that, and he's just saying, like, he's doing what Ethan Klein does, where they will both say that if we got rid of the oppression, that there would be so much death and so many Jews would die, which is just straight up racism. It's just straight up racism, saying that Palestinians are have inherent hatred towards Jews, and they're just going to be so bloodthirsty. If we release them out of their cages, they're going to be like apes and just like rip the faces off of the poor Jewish civilized people that unleashed them. And it's going to be like, I mean, it's the same thing in trying to release slaves in the US, where if we aren't here to oppress these uncivilized people, then they're going to wreak havoc on the white people, essentially. And I know that not all Israelis are white, but essentially they are all white. Like, in terms of like power dynamics, yeah, they're white.
I'm saying it's a country where people vote.
Okay.
Right?
My top line complaint actually is I actually feel like no foreigner should ever talk about Israel-Palestine.
They should Gaza, Germany.
So why the fuck are you talking about it? Holy shit. Oh yeah, because you had a state-sponsored visit there.
I had beef with them, no?
I don't know how that would have worked, but maybe they should have. It's like people complaining about past wrongs. I can understand that. I'm sympathetic towards that, but that doesn't get you any closer to like, what does the resolution look like? And if you just say, well, one state.
The resolution is that everyone can vote in a country.
Okay, I don't think Jewish people are ever going for that. And I think, understandably so.
Demographic study of what people lost, reparations for what they lost.
Do you think
Truth and Reconciliation Commission and one man, one vote?
Do you think that for the Jews that left all the surrounding Arab states, do you think they should all pay reparations as well?
What?
Do you think all the surrounding Arab states should pay reparations to all the Jews that fled as well?
I mean, like, yeah, I guess so. Jews got fucking reparations for the Holocaust.
Yeah, but not from all the surrounding Arab states.
You started reading a book in October. Now you think you're fucking William Shakespeare. That's about.
Yeah, not a lot new from what we learned of Destiny. He's just like a shill, pretty much. He'll just argue to get the thrill of beating someone in an argument. And yeah, he doesn't really believe anything that he says. And when pushed on Israel-Palestine, he'll retreat back to, well, what do you think the correct solution is? Well, don't you think that we kind of should just genocide these people? There's no substance to any of his arguments that he has. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.